Just want to keep giving you your flowers, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I think I like me after that. So look, like your brother said, I've been part of the Respected Roots family for a while. And I initially came to them to write for the Respected Roots magazine, if you guys can recall. And from day one, I saw their passion. I don't know if you guys know what it takes to start a magazine, but for about 2 months, Jason and I rode around this whole great city of Atlanta every day for almost 2 months, getting the word out about this magazine. And so I got to know these brothers on a very good level. I got to know their heart, I got to know their passion, I got to know their intent. Same thing with Jared. When you become a part of Respected Roots brand, you become a part of the whole brand. So although I was initially enlisted to work on the magazine, I followed these brothers and the team all the way across the country promoting the Respected Roots brand. So there would be times when Jared and I would be in the truck for 8 hours a day just talking, just chopping up and building as black men, right? So I know firsthand where their hearts are and it's in the right place. So when I was doing the magazine, I initially started learning about the Brotherhood Initiative. It was very imperative that no matter what kind of articles we had in the magazine, the Brotherhood Initiative was front and center. And so initially, I was like, okay. But the more I started learning about it and started learning the principles, I started seeing how important these principles are, because these very principles is what navigated me through my life, right? So you heard all these accolades that the brother just gave me, and I appreciate that. But my journey was not an easy one, nor was it non-traditional. I was born in South Carolina, Atlantic Beach to be exact, to my mother, my dad, and my 2 sisters and a brother. My earliest recollection is of us living in a 2-bedroom house, 2-bedroom apartment. My mother and my father in one room, and my brother and my sisters in the other room. At times, my brother and I shared the same bed, so I learned about brotherhood and sisterhood very early on. And so, my dad was like Superman to us. My dad instilled these principles: leadership, financial literacy. We saw it firsthand, as my dad was a blue-collar worker who worked his way up to owning his own company in my lifetime. But when I was 8 years old, my daddy was killed. He was murdered. So here it is, my family's Superman, our leader, our visionary, our strength. He was gone. And so for the next 10 years, I had to find my way. And it wasn't always pleasant. I grew up in the 80s as well. I grew up in the height of the crack epidemic. And so I actually kind of fought to those same streets for about 10 years. And when I was 18 years old, my lady I was dating at the time became pregnant with my son, and I realized I had to make a choice. I had to make a change, and I had to make a choice. And the best way to honor the legacy of my dad was to do something with my life. And I chose to go into the Army and be a dad to my son that was on the way. And in the Army, I don't know how many vets we have in here, but you'll see the same principles: leadership, grooming, etiquette, decorum. These same principles are what helped me thrive when I was in the military, right? However, if you recall, I was in the streets for like 10 years prior to the military. Well, the thing about life, karma comes full circle. So while I was serving in the military, some of those very things I was doing in the streets came back to pay me a visit. So when I was 21 years old, I found myself in prison, sentenced to 15 years. And although from a legal standpoint, I was innocent, I still had to go do that time. And eventually I got my case overturned, but that's another story for another time, right? The point is, what helped me survive and even thrive in prison is I had to go through these same principles that the Brotherhood Initiative espouses. Now granted, it wasn't the Brotherhood Initiative for me at that time, but principles like leadership, financial literacy, grooming, etiquette, decorum, things like entrepreneurship, things like we're speaking about college preparation. All of these things, all of these principles that these brothers teach these kids every day, that's what helped me get through prison. If you're talking about entrepreneurship, when I was in prison, I knew that I had to think entrepreneurial because there aren't second chances for people like me. And so in prison, I was able to find 2 things. I found a whole legion of mentors because I was only 21 years old. And so I found men who looked like me, who would never get a chance to get an opportunity in the streets again because they had life sentences. But they mentored me with these same principles. They would pull me on the regular: "All right, young blood, this is what you gotta do. You wanna go out there. You gotta work for yourself. Don't allow another man to depend on your financial security. That's entrepreneurship. Hey, young man, you gotta take better care of yourself. You gotta groom yourself. You gotta find you a good tailor." The same things these brothers are teaching right now. So when I came home, I successfully founded a publishing company, 18 books written. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I'm also signed to Kensington Publishing, which is one of the biggest publishing houses in the country. I also own Pen to Pen Multimedia, where I write, produce, and direct films. But it wouldn't have been possible had I not embodied and embraced these same principles. But more importantly, we give back. So we came back with Jason and Jared with Respected Roots. Both of these brothers, it's funny because I built with them. When I say built, I mean walk around, talk, chill, roll, individually at separate times. But to hear them speak, they're always on the same accord. Yo, we gotta do better. We gotta help these kids. We gotta do better. We gotta help these kids. And even inside the magazine with Jason with the content, we gotta teach financial literacy. We gotta teach leadership. We gotta teach entrepreneurship so the next generation can be greater than what we were. That's what these brothers not only talk, but they live it. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, and I've been a part of it. And I'm a better person because of it. Because the thing about the Brotherhood Initiative is this: they're teaching leaders. They're teaching the next generation of leaders. See, social media will have us thinking that the job of a leader is to gain more followers, but that's not true. The job of a leader is to create more leaders. And that's what these brothers are doing with the Brotherhood Initiative from Respected Roots. So brothers, I'd like to give you guys your flowers. Appreciate you. It's an honor. And for those of you, so when you see the Brotherhood Initiative or anything related to Respected Roots, know that whenever you patronize their business, you're giving back to the leaders of tomorrow, because the leaders of today are pouring into these brothers. Yes, sir.
Again, let's put a hand together for Shaun Sinclair.